Hi friends, welcome to evening prayer with Trinity United Church. It's an opportunity for us to get together as a community and acknowledge the challenges and opportunities that each day offers us. To take a moment and ease into the evening, to acknowledge the fear and anxiety and anxiousness and concerns we all experience, especially at this moment in time. To name them so that they lose some of their power in our lives. And at the same time to root ourselves in the ancient Christian tradition of ending each day with prayers of thanksgiving. Rooting ourselves in holy mystery in a way that sustains us and empowers us, uplifts us, and encourages us. So that even in the midst of all of life's challenges, we can say that we move from one day to the next by grounding ourselves in hope, with peace and courage and understanding. It's also a chance to name some of the reality that we deal with every day and acknowledge that for some of us it's a lot more challenge than opportunity. And so we light candles, Christ candles, and we place them in the window so that as the shadows lengthen and evening becomes night and one day shifts to the next, its light can move out into the world. That it can be a reminder of all those who see it that the light of Christ is always with us. That no matter how dark things might seem to be, that the God of hope and joy and love and peace is always there in the midst of it, right beside us. In Prince George, we've also been placing hearts in our windows so that as folks are out going about some kind of routine, that they can see those hearts and know that people are thinking about them and holding them in prayer and that they're cared for and loved. It's another way that we can be community. It's another way that when you can't do what you normally do, you do what you can. It's one way that we support one another. And so this evening as we gather, we acknowledge that once again the number of positive cases continues to rise, the death toll continues to increase. The travel ban on domestic travel for anyone showing signs of COVID went into effect today at noon. We acknowledge and name that being self-isolated, the physical distancing, the alone time for many is not easy. And it brings with it its own mental health challenges. We name the uncertainty that temporary and permanent layoffs bring into people's worlds. We name the uncertainty of the economy and who will be left standing post-COVID-19. And the challenges that all brings with it, the uncertainty of what, if, when, that folks have to deal with each and every day. The growing uncertainty around basic things that just make the isolation so much harder. We also name people for whom being at home is not a good place to be, not a safe place to be. And we're starting to see signs of that tension in the world. We're starting to see the signs that what started off as something that we'll just smile and kind of laugh our way through has now turned into something different. The acknowledgement that this is a marathon, not a sprint, has settled into folks. And people are now turning away from one another, where a week ago they used to smile and nod. People's tolerance levels are getting shorter and shorter, smaller and smaller. And what used to be a funny, happy word to one another has become something different. And so we name that the nature of our community is shifting. And yet, in the midst of it all, we also name the ways that we find to be community, of being connected to one another. The folks that show up and leave cookies on your doorstep and ring the bell and run away. The folks that let you know you're not forgotten about, that you do matter. And that no matter how long this lasts, you won't ever be forgotten. I'm reminded of a comment that was made today about learning how to use video conferencing software, and was it more important to worry about how you look and the camera angle than the connection to people on the other end? And a reminder that at the end of the day, not just for the Christian, but especially for followers of Jesus, it really is about the connection with the folks on the other end. And so even in the midst of an unforeseen calamity of a global pandemic that has literally brought the world to a halt, we give thanks for community, for the ways we reach out and support and nurture and sustain one another. And we give thanks for the courage that gives us, for the hope it instills within us. And so on this Tuesday evening, the 31st of March, we pause. And we ground ourselves in our faith. And we take a deep breath in and hold it and let it out. And we do that again. And one last time. In, hold, out. And we pray. Gracious and loving God, we give you thanks for this day. We give you thanks for the folks who have connected with us, those that have reminded us that we are not alone, that have provided us a needed glimpse into the heart of your grace. Help us be that presence for others, that connection to you for others, that grounding in community and love and hope for others. So this evening we give you thanks for those who keep things running, who risk their own health and that of their loved ones to keep hospitals open and grocery stores and essential services running, communities and cities able to provide their services. We give you thanks for each of them and acknowledge the risk that they're taking. We give you thanks for our community, for the church community that's learning how to be the church regardless of whether it has walls to gather within or not. And we pray for people for whom the four walls that they're gathered within are not safe places. Be with those who are experiencing physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual violence. Be with those, O God, who aren't safe. And help us who are safe to find ways of supporting them, even in the midst of this challenging time. We pray for those for whom food security and shelter is a challenge at the best of times, let alone right now. Help those of us who have the ability to respond with the very best that we have to offer, so that together we might be the hands and feet and voice of Jesus in the world. Help us to maintain our physical distancing, yet deepen our social and spiritual connection to one another. And so this evening we hold some silence for the prayers that we can't put into words. And we offer them to God. And so together, we pray for Jocelyn and Leo and Judy W. as she prepares to move from one space to another. For Carla, who's confirmed to have COVID, and Wally, who is trying to look after her. For Ray and Marion and Rose Ann and Carol and Aaron and Dave and Lee as they journey with Dave's last parts of his earthly life. We pray for their family as they wrestle with the restrictions of not being able to be physically present at Dave's bedside. We pray for Courtney, who's been diagnosed with COVID and whose unborn child is in its 38th week. We pray for Joe M., for healing and comfort and connection. We pray for Denise, who wrestles with the challenges additionally of COVID for a person who's blind. And for Rachel and her unborn baby as they wrestle with complications and the fears that every parent has. We pray for parents at home, for guardians and grandparents who are trying to figure out what to do now with kids that would have gone back to school yesterday. Grant us all an extra measure of grace with one another, O God. Help us to be gentle with one another. Help us to not lose sight of the very best of our humanity and of that which you have created in your image. Help us to be your people, so that together we might be your kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. And in so doing, help us to be people who follow in the path of Jesus in this time and this place. Hear our prayers, O God, and give us hope and peace and joy this night and always. Amen. Friends, wherever you find yourselves this evening, as the shadow lengthens and one day becomes the next, from the folks at Trinity United Church in Prince George, British Columbia, we hope this evening finds you in a place where you can be safe, where you can be calm, and where you can be community. And one way or another, you're able to join with us again tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. for evening prayer. Between now and then, if you have a prayer that you'd like to have included, or a person, or a place, or an event, you can email that to us at prayer@trinitypg.ca. You'll find that email address in our description for this video when it's posted. Together, let's not lose sight of what it means to be community and the power it has, especially in times of great challenge. And one way or another, let's join together tomorrow evening. Take some time and ground ourselves in faith, and be community for and with one another. We'll see you then. Be safe, be calm, be community.